It's a fact, guys. Shorts are getting squeezed out of their positions. At least from my point of view, you're starting to see a lot of pressure on the hedge funds, but they're not necessarily covering yet. And how do I know this? It comes down to the volume, and we're going to talk a lot about the volume, the technicals, what is happening here today, rounding off the last couple of minutes of trading, and really what you guys need to know. There was also some very positive news from the Black Panther movie and the Thursday night previews, and we do have some box office numbers to cover with you guys here in this video. We're of course going to talk about, obviously, like I said, the technicals, the Ortex data, and what's going on here today in the market. So let's get straight into it, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. But without wasting your time, the first thing that I do want to talk about is how the hedge funds are starting to get squeezed. They're obviously getting squeezed by having the stock go up massively against their short positions. That's obviously taking a bite out of their profits, and it really changes the whole dynamic of their position. It's like, hey, you know, AMC's probably gonna have more positive things than negative things over the next couple of months, over the next couple of years. A matter of fact, the worst for AMC is probably long behind it. And now you're getting inflation rolling over and the Fed going to slow down raising rates. All logic points to shorts covering, but we see no indication of that happening yet. And how you can see this is due to volume. And that's the most important thing, because if you guys look at volume, yesterday we went up 18.11% off of 40 million for volume. Today, you're up 13% at the time of recording this video on 24 million for volume. These are not numbers that are indicative of shorts covering or even FOMO to that extent. What I think is most likely happening today is the options that are running into the money. That's causing a lot of buying activity from the market makers. If we just purely look at the options that ran into the money today, you got 10,000 right here, 13,000 right here, and 17,000 right here. So that's 30,000. That's 40,000 options that ran into the money here today alone. Let's go ahead and pull up the calculator and let's do 40,000 times 100. That's 4 million shares that had to have been bought by the market makers just based off of the options, let alone apes that are constantly buying the stock and just people that think, you know, hey, I'm going to make a trade on this over the next couple of weeks. When you add all of that together and you're only looking at 25 million shares that have traded hands today, I think the story's pretty clear here that shorts are not covering yet, but there is a lot of pressure on them to do so. And fundamentally speaking, I think this might be a fundamental kind of rally. You know, AMC was well oversold, well more than it should have been, and given the news that we've seen today, it makes a lot of sense to go long on AMC stock. And let's take a look at this article and how significant this is going to be for AMC's business with this Wakanda Black Panther movie, and then we'll come back and look at the chart. So you can see right here, Black Panther Wakanda Forever sinks its claws into impressive $28 million Thursday previews box office haul. And why this is so important is really relative to the last Black Panther, but it says Variety reports that Black Panther Wakanda Forever has earned an impressive $28 million during Thursday previews in North America. That's the 15th highest preview haul of all time, and a good start for a movie that looks to set to do big business both domestically and internationally this weekend. 2018's Black Panther took 25 million in previews and later went on to gross over 1.3 billion worldwide. This sequel is expected to have a huge opening, with current consensus conservative estimates suggesting it will earn at least 175 million. I have seen people with estimates close to $400 million for the domestic and international first weekend box office, and a lot of people suggesting this could be a major hit throughout the next couple of months until you get to Avatar that comes out December 16th, 2022. Now, why is this such a big deal for AMC and for AMC stock? And why do I think this is making a huge difference to what we have seen over the past 2 days? And it's simply due to what Adam Aron said on the earnings call. There's not enough movies. AMC can't do much when there's not a lot of movies, but still they grew revenue 26% year over year. They grew the amount of money people are spending in theaters like 25% as well year over year. I can't remember the exact figure on that one, but the numbers were very impressive considering a real lackluster box office slate of films. There really has not been much since Top Gun Maverick, and we are heading into the best season of the year to get these blockbuster films that we are getting. So I think the real question here is, and I think the dynamic hedge funds are going to be faced with is, hey, obviously there's a chance that all retail and apes come back into the stock and really push the stock up and make us lose even more of those profits we had on our short positions. And at the same time, is the stock fundamentally valued at these levels? And I think when you take a look out into the future, when AMC can actually make a profit, it is, right? If that's next quarter or the quarter after that or the quarter after that, it does not matter. Wall Street is forward looking. So what's the risk to reward profile? What's the worst case scenario here for AMC when they got over $1 billion of cash and there's no way, it's impossible, they're going to go bankrupt over the next couple of years? The business is only going to get better over the next couple of years. Their competition is going bankrupt, for God's sake. There's so many good things you could point to AMC as of right now. The only bad thing is the debt that they have. And from my perspective and from what they've been doing, they're pushing out their maturities for years and years down the line. There's not a short thesis here, and that's why I'm putting my neck out on the line, calling for another short squeeze. Now, depending how high it will go really depends on how much activity we get from FOMO buyers and option buyers. And a good way to look at potentially where that FOMO could go is looking at the volume of options on a daily basis, especially when the stock is up 12.72%. And I want to look at the weekly options. Today is Friday. I want to look at who is buying options that expire by the end of the day today. And you can see for the call side, the 550 strike, 3,000. Let's make sure I'm on the right one for volume. Yeah, 3,000 for volume. Almost 11,000 for volume at the $6 call. 24,000 for volume at the 650. At the $7 strike, there's 19,000 for volume. At the 750, there's 5,000 for volume. This is really a big reason why I think AMC is going up today. And when you see a lot of these weekly option buyers, the ones, that are buying options, literally when the expiration is just here very, very shortly in the next, half an hour, well, that is telling you something, guys. That's telling you that there is a lot of, people on the sidelines, really looking forward to the next rally in AMC. That's what they're playing for, and they think it could be pretty parabolic. And that goes to show that, if this rally continues, there's going to be more option buying, more, delta hedging, more gamma heading into the options, and that is going to mean a higher share price. Even when you look out to November 18th, the volume on these is insane as well. At the 550, 1,300 for volume. At the $6 strike, 4,700 for volume. 650, 10,000. $7 strike, 10,000, and a couple thousand on all these other expirations as well. These aren't just volume. It's not even open interest. Next week, you have a lot of options that are just out the money with a lot of open interest, specifically $7 strike at 14,000, $750 at 8,600, and the $8 strike at 21,000 for open interest. Even if you look further out, at the $10 strike, you have 15,000 for open interest, and at the $9 strike, you have 7,500 for open interest. So from my perspective here, it doesn't necessarily look like shorts are covering today, but they are certainly getting squeezed squeezed on their short positions, and you can only take so much squeezing for so long before you want to get on the right side of the trade. And I think right now you're still in the early stages of this, guys. That's why I'm stressing to you in every video, making my bull case, because don't listen to me. Contact a financial advisor. You can make money, you could lose money off of videos if you just follow someone blindly here, but the data is pointing in this direction that I have been talking about. It's not like you're magically making up these numbers. It's literally right here. The short thesis is within a 14-year-old teenage girl's concept of grafting that information, right? It's no surprise that theaters are probably going to get better from here. It's no surprise blockbusters are going to be even bigger this time around with Wakanda, Black Panther, and Avatar 2, the top grossing movie of all time. It's the sequel, guys. Like, there's a lot to be bullish on, not too much you can actually give a bearish case on, given the valuation is so low, even on a fundamental basis. Forget if you think there's going to be a short squeeze or not. On a fundamental basis, that's what we're talking about here, guys. And still, heading into the last couple of minutes of trading here today, the live short interest of AMC is sitting at 20.5%. The cost to borrow rates have not updated here today. Last we knew, it was sitting at 55.5%. Cost to borrow average was in the 90% range. It was as high as 276% yesterday. Cost to borrow max sitting at a steady 344%. Cost to borrow minimum has been very volatile as well, in between 15% and 45%. It looks like the cost to borrow rates that people are actively taking out shares of AMC and presumably shorting those shares is at about 55.5%. That is a very high level, and that means you have to see a big move down in order to even make any money on that short position, or that presumed new short position. As far as today as well, 25 orders totaling $1.24 million, positive order value of 31% on AMC. These guys are going to do whatever they can do to push down the price of AMC. They obviously don't want to see their short positions continue to go against them. On another note, as you guys can see from the bonds not doing too much today, but we have clawed back from a negative day in the bond market, meaning bond yields had started to go up, at least on TLT, the 20-year treasury bond. Bond markets are closed, but this is like the future price of bonds, so TLT is still going to trade, and the higher this goes, the better. We are in positive territory. And for the dollar's taking another massive gap down here today, as inflation did come down and as markets are expecting a lot less Fed tightening from here. The dollar going down is a very bullish thing fundamentally for businesses. You can add 5%, revenue growth, earnings growth, if the dollar even went back down to where it was in 2021, or even down to where it was in early 2022. That's a shit. I'm just going to keep that in there. You could add 5% top line, bottom line growth. That has a lot of room to build into these fundamental valuations after they have been so beaten down in 2022. So the dollar's looking like, it's playing along with this rally. The bonds are playing along. The federal funds futures market is expecting a 50 basis point rate hike with an 80% probability. That is also playing along, and at this point the selling has just been too far overdone on a lot of names, especially in AMC stock. So am I bullish here, guys? Absolutely. Is there reason to be bullish? Absolutely. Is there reason to be bearish? Not really, unless the Fed comes out and completely crushes the day, but the thing is, we're not going to hear from the Fed until December 14th, until the next Fed meeting. So between now and then, there's not too much that's going to be coming out that's really going to have a bigger weighting on the markets besides this CPI report, which just came out. So long story short, there's not a lot that's really going to stop this rally from here, at least in my perspective, and there is a lot more room to run. The first big level we have to break out above with AMC stock is going to be the 50-day moving average. We came up, tested that level at $7.22 per share, got rejected a little bit. We'll see what happens by the last couple of minutes of trading. The last couple of minutes can be very volatile. As you guys seen yesterday, the NASDAQ up 7.5% was a little bit crazy. Nonetheless, guys, if you break out above the 50, moving 50-day moving average, you're heading above the 200-day moving average in my personal opinion. Last time that happened, you rallied about 25% after that level. I imagine now, given the fundamental shift in where AMC's business is, and specifically what's going on with inflation, I think if you break out above that, it's probably going to be much better than that. So if you also do just draw a trend line here from basically the tops of all the other rallies that we have seen, it pretty much puts us, you know, at this 200-day moving average. A little bit higher than that if you want to get a little bit technical on it. You could draw it wherever you wanted to draw it, but it does indicate that there's a lot more room to go higher from here, and that's probably what is going to happen. You bottomed out at the lows of 2022, have been ripping up from there, and in the grand scope of things, you're not even back at the levels you were at in June when the markets hit lows the first time around. So from my perspective here, with options so cheap, with the stock so cheap, there is a massive opportunity to play the upside move, guys. So that is going to be all for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Most importantly, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.